Can you change your sexual orientation? You're gay, you don't want to be gay, you want to be straight. Can sexual behavior be changed if, like, okay, maybe on the deep down, like, as a sexual orientation, as a sexuality, it will be always somewhere like deep inside of you, but can you behave as straight? This is what we're going to talk about today. And also, we're going to talk about the recent Supreme Court decision about striking the ban in the state of Colorado for conversion therapy. Also, I'm going to bring you the research, the science behind conversion therapy, what is available, what is not available. And more importantly, I want you to walk away from this video with full understanding and make an educated decision whether or not you want to engage with that. Parents, but if you happen to be a parent and you're like, oh, hey, gay hypnotherapist, let's talk about conversion therapy. This will be a really good video for you so you can have informed decision how homosexuality is formed, because we're going to talk about it, and the theories and what we have in terms of research, and how conversion therapy affects gay people, and in particular, gay men. Now, if you're new to me, my name is Eugene Beren, and who am I? Like, why am I qualified to talk about this stuff? Because everybody and their mama, therapists, gay activists, psychologists, psychiatrists, all over the place talk about conversion therapy right now. I'm originally from Moscow, Russia. I worked as a psychologist, as a therapist in Moscow, Russia. My education is in the cusp of fusion of clinical psychology and special education. Basically, psychology for people with special needs. And also, in my experience, I work with LGBTQ community in Moscow, Russia, at various capacities. And also, I work at local mental health centers. And I also dealt with a lot of young adults, youth, teenagers who had questions about their sexuality, and work with parents who were navigating this work with their children. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's address the elephant in the room first. And this is a Supreme Court decision to strike the ban on conversion therapy in the state of Colorado because it violates free speech. Devastating, absolutely devastating vote, in my opinion. But it's important to actually understand what Supreme Court is saying. Now, Supreme Court judges, they're lawyers, they're not mental health professionals. They create the law. So, they did not say that conversion therapy is safe. They did not say that conversion therapy is effective. They simply said, you know what? The therapist wants to bring up conversion therapy in any way, shape, or form. You know what? They actually can. And this is what they said. Unfortunately, this is very important to understand how healthcare and mental health care is structured specifically in the US. Insurances, policymakers, politicians, they're not necessarily mental health professionals. In fact, majority of them are not. And there's a discrepancy in the insurance codes, how insurance is paying for versus the real scientific research. And when it comes to conversion therapy, I'm going to show you step by step, like, is it helpful? Is it harmful? What you can do about it so you can make an educated decision. So let's get started. So now, what do we have right here? We have 12 of 13 primary studies, so 47 peer-reviewed studies. And the consensus is that conversion therapy is indeed harmful. So it's important to understand why conversion therapy fails. So therapy target thoughts and behavior, right? So when it comes to sexual orientation, the formation of sexual orientation is a lot more deeper than just thoughts that creates beliefs, and beliefs triggers action. The sexual orientation itself, the sexual behavior, it is A combination. Actually, there are different researches. One is genetic based research. Another research is neurological research that actually studies a brain of a person, like of homosexual men specifically. Again, like I mostly work with gay men, and this is what, and this is the research that I was focusing in on. And because it, like homosexuality and sexual orientation, it is a complex phenomena, and is a combination of neurology, how your brain works, in different areas of your brain, your genes. Then there's another layer that affects your identity, your understanding of who you are based on your genetic and biological data. For example, if you're black, if you have darker skin tone, and this is your biological predisposition to black identity as African, black, African American, black American, but you gotta be black. You can't be white, and that informs your identity. And now, this is why conversion therapy is harmful. We are dealing with very fundamental, very like the constitutional level of like your brain and your genes that affects later on your self identity and your sexual orientation and your sexuality. And sexuality is a very complex thing. It's not as simple as I had sex with women, I want to have sex with men, I'm bisexual, or I'm gay, or like whatever. It's a lot more complex. Now, what conversion therapy does in the way that it's presented in the United States, basically it's based on shaming, on shame, fear, very much brutal behavioral interventions. Number one, 2 times of like suicide attempts, suicide rate. And this is alarming. Now, a lot of people who went through conversion therapy have PTSD symptoms. Also, the rate of depression is also extremely high, and social isolation. And there's a good explanation for that. So, suicidality is normally high among LGBTQ plus people, not because gay people are freaking crazy and fragile and soft and not resilient enough, but because living in the society and the systems that constantly traumatizes you in some shape or form. Because listen, when shit goes down, who is like, what layers of society are under attack? Gays, I mean LGBTQ plus, gays, trans people, black people, women, minorities. Minoritized groups are almost always under attack when we have economic instability, political instability, war, regime change. Listen, I don't make the rules. Unfortunately, I don't make up the history. Look at the history. Whenever there is a liberation, whenever there is a upbringing in science, upbringing in economy, upbringing of opportunity, people are cool with gays. But as soon as there is uncertainty, all of a sudden it's our fault. Now, let's talk about the cause. Why people are gay. Why people are gay. So there are many different researches. And to be honest with you, when I ask my colleagues and when I ask psychiatrists, medical doctors, scientists who do genetic studies, they said well, there are different theories, but we really don't know how sexuality fully forms. It's a very complex issue. There is a theory that it is a genetic origin. And I listen, if you want to read these studies, I will supply the links in the description for this video so you can actually go and read it yourself. Because if I will quote every single study, this video is going to be like 10-hour long, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to give you quick win and quick information so you can just go off on your merry gay way. So genetics. Now, prenatal hormones. There's another study that like prenatal hormones somehow affects your brain information and affects your brain development, so you become gay. And specifically, there is in the hypothalamus, there is a cluster of neural network that is responsible for sexual desires. And there's a quite stark difference between heterosexual men and gay men. So I will also link that research below. So, and this is pure direct neurological data on this case, specifically brain development and maternal immune effect. So many different studies, but also sexuality is a societal part too, like how you interact with the society. Now, so let's talk about brain structure. So it's a small nucleus in an anterior hypothalamus. So like this is the study that I was talking about. Like this theory suggests that it's actually starts with your brain. And this is how sexual behavior is formed. But it's a lot more complicated than the brain. It's way more complicated than the brain, because when it comes to relationship, dating, and not just having sex, and it's a lot more. It's neurological, it's societal, it's psychological, all of the above. So genetics also, it's a very strong factor. Like again, genetics, as you can see, it is strong, but it's not necessarily all be all. There is area in genetics that suggests that you can be gay if you have certain genes. Each additional biological older brother raises odds than later born boy will be gay. So approximately 33% approximate increase odds in per older biological brother. So the older you are, if you are the firstborn, then you're probably going to be gay. If you are second, you're probably going to be a little bit more straight, and so on. Which is kind of makes sense because biologically it makes sense, because let's say mother nature, okay, the first is going to be gay. But just in case if the first is going to be gay, we're going to make the second. So again, this is my just fun observation of this theory specifically. How we can simplify it. Orientation appears to be deeply developmental. So it is not just this is what I want you to understand. Nobody can make you gay. People can engage you in gay sex. And if you are not this, if you're not that, it will be extremely traumatizing for you, but you will not become gay. In a sense that it's your identity, it's your all, right? There are multiple biological pathways. It's not just psychological. If sexual orientation was purely psychological, we could probably pray gay away. We could probably, conversion therapy would probably a lot more effective, cognitive behavioral therapy and so on. So you're gay, you don't want to be gay. You look at the evidence and you're sitting here okay, it is developmental, it's probably something with my genes and with my brain and hormones and like and all that, and there you will be reading the research and come to conclusion that it is so complex. And like, what do I do right now? Let me tell you a story. I grew up very religious and spiritual. I was spiritual first, religion second. Again, that was my choice. My family did not force me to go to church or convert to church. And I was a member of a very conservative Baptist church in Moscow, Russia, apostolic Pentecostal, like that kind of like very conservative, okay? So, and I was in therapy not because I wanted to cure homosexuality, because I was in school to be a therapist, to be a psychologist. And my therapist, my psychologist told me, like, hey, it looks like you're living double life. You, on Sunday, you're a conservative person in the church and online, but this Saturday night, you're actually having fun with your boyfriend. This is incongruency, and this is incongruence. And if you want to be a good therapist, you can't be incongruent with yourself. You have to make a choice. You have to make a decision. You have to come out as gay. You have to talk to your pastor and decide which course of action you want to take next. So I talked to my pastor. I tried to pray the gay away and did not work out. And I had a second conversation, and that pastor was a little bit more educated, had a lot more experience working with young men. He was a youth pastor, and he said, but you can choose not to engage in sex with other men. You don't have to marry a woman if it is not your thing, but you can be single as a path forward. And I'm not telling you to be single as a path forward. I'm telling you to discover like the path that fits you. That starts with therapy. That starts with having a counselor that understands you. That starts with also hypnotherapy. Understand your subconscious mind, beliefs and blocks, and creating that support system. And you can also do a combination of both. You can do therapy with a counselor. You can do a hypnotherapy specifically designed and oriented for gay men, so you can create harmonious life that fits you, that fits your belief system, that fits your lifestyle. And at the end of the story, by the way, for me, like maybe you are religious, maybe in your cultural circles that this is not appropriate. I started digging deeper into theology, and this is not theological channel, but I discovered that, you know what, spiritual texts, they're a lot more complex than we read. And it's not necessarily what is written in the text, it's how we read them and how we interpret. So I start studying religion and spirituality and different traditions, not just necessarily strictly conservative Protestant Christian traditions, but I was looking deeper. I was looking deeper into like the origins, the Jewish spirituality and Jewish mysticism and Jewish tradition and rabbinical interpretations of different texts. And what like the conclusion for that for myself that I found personally, that it's a lot more complex than that. That it is up to you to decide like what is your purpose. If you want to be celibate, you can be celibate if it makes you happy. Like there are people who legitimately decide to be celibate, and there's nothing wrong with celibacy. You can change who you are because it is a developmental thing. And even though you might train yourself to have sex with women, but like psychologically, it might be torturous because there is a really good reason why older gay men come out as gay and either continue to live with their wives in lavender marriage or get a divorce and start a new life after they had kids. And normally it happens after they had kids and their kids are older. So my recommendation for you, find a support system that serves you, that serves your mental health and require. Because what I learned throughout my journey is that my religious and spiritual beliefs, they evolved. And they evolved not because I was gay. I was not looking for a spirituality, a group, a religion that will support homosexual behavior. Homosexual behavior. I was looking for the truth. Like, I'm a very determined person. I have very strong will. Why can't I will myself out of homosexuality? Because listen, being on the like heterosexual side of the spectrum and being a straight man and building a strong career, having like a wife and children, this is so much safer. But it's not the choice that I can make it very simply, like not at the fundamental developmental level. And at this point in my life, I'm so at peace with who I am, even though the world is getting crazy, even though, yes, we're getting more and more attacks as a community, even though it is not quite safe, even though it costs me opportunities, business opportunities, because a lot of entrepreneurs are not majority, but a lot of entrepreneurs are conservative and they will not specifically, explicitly work with a gay person. So that is a fact too. But also, I believe that there are so many communities, providers, business owners that can celebrate you. And this is why I opened this private practice to celebrate you, to empower you, to be your support system when you need it. Leave me all the questions in the comments. Share with me your story. Connect with me on social media. And I would like to hear from you.